Senate,
And now you're live.
This is a committee of conference on the fiscal year 2022 budget. And the last night, we called it a night and came back and this morning and have an offer that we would like to make. One of the concerns that's been expressed is the need for more time, the reference to the study committee. And so what I would propose is that we reserve the 13.8 in the education fund. It's similar to what was done in the general fund with 150 million. And that way the money is available. It does not result in a tax increase. I want to be very clear on this. Even with the difference between what the House and the Senate have done on the property tax rate, the lower rate would accommodate the funding of this prepayment. There has been a lot of concern that somehow the automatic response is an increase in the education, in the property tax. But the fact of the matter is just a sec. So what is happening is that there are multiple revenue streams into the education fund, and they're performing very well. So what I would propose is, rather than the appropriation in fiscal 22, that we take the equivalent amount and put it in reserve. That would allow the committee that the Representative Hooper's referenced several times about looking at pensions and looking at the OPEB liability to do its work. It still keeps the issue very much out there. It is evidence of a commitment that we need to and want to deal with this obligation that is creating a very large unfunded liability out on the ledger of the state of Vermont. And what is part of this offer, of course, is that the 3% increase would go forward as provided for on the Senate side. And but there's a contingent, and that is my understanding is that we need to come to agreement between the two tax committees as to the tax rate, and whether the Senate Finance did not adjust the tax rate down, felt that it was better to keep it stable rather than moving it back and forth and having it fluctuate. That is different than what came over from the House, which actually had a reduction. So a lot of everything that I'm offering here is contingent that the tax committees, because it's my understanding that to consider this, the House is saying it has to be not only dealing with the OPEB, which is a budget decision, but getting agreement with between the tax committees on this property tax rate. And the Senate Finance Committee is convening right now to discuss that. So this is what I think is a reasonable offer. It's consistent with what the House did with a general fund reserve of 150. But it has to be contingent that that we can work out the agreement between the two tax committees. And the big problem is on the Senate side, that bill hasn't been passed by the House. So technically there's no bill even here to negotiate. I realize I think people are forgetting today's Thursday, and we want it to be out on Friday. And this, as we know, is going to push us into Saturday. And I'm hoping that we can get some agreement, but I would offer this as a way of a compromise, and it's contingent that the tax committees can come to agreement.
Thank you.
So that is our offer. And I do want to make it clear, because I got an email from a school board member who said, well, they're on first of all, our education system is state funded, and that somehow if we move OPEB, then we should agree to the higher transfer of rooms and meals. And that is not, I don't know who's taking notes, but that is not on the table. It's not accepted. It is in fact would make the general fund problem and all the parts of government supported by the general fund worse. And so our concern is the fact that this is an obligation that has to be recognized. It has to be addressed. It is generated by the need to give our teachers assurance that their health care coverage when they retire, and this is currently working teachers, it has the money behind it. And so we believe it's to the benefit of teachers. We believe that it's related to the cost of our educational system. It is not a cost shift, because in fact, it's a cost that has never, ever been addressed. So that's why we are offering this, and don't envy the work of that committee over the summer and fall.
Thank you, Senator Kitchell. It is not surprising that people are confused about what is on the table, and they're experiencing what we do on a day-to-day basis as we negotiate legislation. You said, what about this? We said, what about that? We've gone back and forth in this conference committee. We've talked with our colleagues trying to find a solution. And I must say that your proposed solution is very elegant. And what you have suggested is mirroring what we did in the general fund with regard to pension issues, where we said we are so deeply concerned about this issue of what is happening with our overall pension obligations. And just to remind folks, there are 4 buckets associated with our pension obligations. There are what we owe our state employees and teachers in terms of their pension benefits, and what we owe them in terms of their other post-employment benefits, which we refer to as OPEB on the state side, or RTHUM on the teacher side. All 4 of those issues need to be addressed. We were deeply concerned. We set aside $150 million of our reserve general fund to address this. As I understand it, you are proposing to mirror that and set aside the equivalent cost of 1 year of the RTHUM, the teachers' other post-employment benefit costs, no, that's not right, to mirror the cost of pre-funding.
That's right.
For retired teachers' healthcare benefits, which is, and I would suggest rounding that 13.8, I think, to 14 million.
I think we've done that in our draft, which we haven't given you, but that's correct.
Put that into a reserve. Do not spend it. It is sitting there fenced off, just as we have fenced the 150 million in the general fund, pending the analysis, the work, the structure that will be created through this group that we have organized in a separate bill for looking at the entire system. And I just want to repeat your point that you made. is after rates have been, so the House proposal on property tax rates is to reduce those rates and to fill the education reserves. And after both of those things have been accomplished, we know that there is over 20 million available, and in fact are projecting that there will be 35 million in surplus in the education fund. So in no way, shape, or form is this creating a burden on the property tax. And instead it is, you know, you are pushing us further down the road of let's solve this problem. So as I said, it's an elegant solution. I think I heard you make this offer based on two contingencies. One, that we release our hold on the 3% rate increases that folks.
I know that's a terrible sacrifice, Representative Hooper, to give those poor agencies the additional 1%, but
Senator Kitchell is teasing me because she knows where my cares lie also. We had struggled to find 2% rate increases. You were able to raise it to 3%. I would like to note that every year, I believe for the past 5 years, we have received a budget that does not have any rate increases for these vitally important organizations. And we have found ways to provide those rate increases. We're getting called to a roll call. We accept your offer of your elegant solution with regard to the OPEB. We agree to your rate increase and to the remaining open items in the budget. And we also understand and accept that all of this is contingent upon the two bodies resolving their questions that they need to answer around the miscellaneous tax bill, which frankly goes back to the property rate issue. So
among other things, as well as link up and a few other important tax policies that people are concerned about.
So may we say yes and run to a roll call vote that we're having on the floor based on that contingency?
Yes. Yes, you need to go to your roll call, and we'll have to be on notice. We're going back on the floor at 1. Okay. But hopefully this can allow as much preparation of the budget as possible, because this is just a horrible time compression for the staff that have to put this budget together.
Yeah.
All right. So let's hope we get, as I say, like electing the Pope, some white smoke from the tax committees, and we can close this as soon as we get that confirmation. And I have to go testify now to Senate Finance.
Okay. We all need to run. So
okay.